There we go.
Got it.
That's a house finch. All around, everywhere we live, we have those. But they're natives. Actually, they're natives. So,
And they have a great song. So
yeah. This is fair. That one's a fairly short one. When they get really lusty, they sometimes sing, 3 times longer than that. They just go on and on. And they can do it while flying, too,
hmm.
if they want to show off.
Oh, I was going to go through the list of people who said they were interested.
Yes.
Sarah Hamdy,
Mm-hmm.
Monique Rouliette, health and science journalist at freelance. Timothy Isherwood, Kovacic Metej, Alex Bouffier, Christine Haas. I know she has attended one of our workshops. I remember her name. Pat Waring, sounds familiar. Sebastian Thies Henriksen, Debbie Blitcher, producer at Talking Birds radio show. Jason Wolford, who has been to some events.
Has someone joined by phone? Is that I'm seeing a phone
Yep,
icon?
I see
Oh,
it.
that would be Katie Osborne, I probably, because she just called me up for the connection number. Hi, Katie. Are you there?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, this is
Hi,
me,
Katie.
Katie, with
That's
the Reno area code.
Katie Osborne, currently working in fish biology. Well, you're the first to arrive, Katie.
Oh, I'm special, I guess. I just wanted to make sure I had time to enter the passcode and everything.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking on a mobile phone?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sorry.
So
Hello?
I'm going to go ahead and mute. I'm going to mute myself
Thank you.
and yeah.
Well, you speak up whenever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hear that little ticking on the right side?
No.
I don't. Oh, Hugh Livingston. Huh.
You don't hear that ticking? I
Oh,
just turned it.
now I do.
I turned it up, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I turned it way up. That's something a little PCM A10 does. I got it to go away when I was recording with it by moving the microphone cable. So that's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's something that radiates out of the back of the recorder. Yeah, I don't know.
Now, I saw Hugh Livingston's name for a moment, and then it disappeared.
Yep.
Well, no other pictures have appeared here.
Yep. Sometimes people have to reboot or
Yeah.
they'll start it up and then
All the vagaries of Zoom.
Zoom will make you update something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cactus Wren. Are you getting this in stereo, you with headphones?
I think so.
Yeah. The Cactus Wren is on the right, was on the right.
Yeah,
Finch
it's
is-
stereo.
Finch is in the middle.
Hmm.
Hey, there's Ernst.
Hi, Ernst.
Morning,
He's
Ernst.
Basement Studio. Welcome, Ernst.
Morning.
I hear you well, thank you.
What were the birds we were just listening to?
We're listening to my most recent recording week before last, week before this, I guess, at Cottonwood Spring in Joshua Tree.
Oh, wow.
I've just loaded it in, but I haven't annotated it at all. But
Uh-huh.
at least it's out of the SD cards and into Pro Tools.
Hey, Greg, good to see you. Haven't seen you since the last Yuba City or Yuba Pass thing, I think.
I know, it's been a few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to see your studio.
Yeah, likewise.
Is that a Moog on the left side there?
Dope for.
Okay. Moog is at the edge of my current knowledge about.
It's the same technology as a Moog, but it's a dope for more recent, like built in the late 90s up to the current day.
Hugh was here for a moment. He's probably reconfiguring his.
Comes and goes.
I
Yeah.
had to switch computers because there was no audio from one, so
Well, that's no good.
I am restored now.
I hear
Welcome.
you. I hear you. There he comes.
Hello.
Hi, Hugh.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
I'm well. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. Looks like everybody's in a sunny place.
You're in a blurry place.
Oh yeah, a
Yes.
little bit.
That's intentional. Yes, that's bokeh, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Something like that.
Yeah. It's very popular right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Sharon in the background of my camera.
Hi,
Hi,
Sharon.
Sharon.
Sharon, people are waving at you. Way back, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Can't hear you.
We miss your
Oh.
delicious food.
Yeah.
She can't hear us though.
No,
No, she's putting on a headset. She'll be with us momentarily. Okay, I've got her mic up. Your mic is up, Sharon.
Yes, hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
hi.
What have you been up to, Hugh?
Well, I've been creating sound walks using GPS on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got commissioned by a winery up in Healdsburg to make what ended up being largely narrative and not experimental project for them. And it's basically a way to wander through the vineyards and their oak forests and see their land restoration and regenerative agricultural practices.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, if you're using the GPS, it can really deliver sound. So when you walk by the solar panels, you hear the story about that and you hear the sound. And now it's coming up on almost a year of recording nature sounds from the site.
Hmm.
So not continuously, but on a regular basis. And
Yeah. Does
trying
that
different
system,
approaches.
is there software that does that for you? How does that work?
There's software,
You,
yes.
you had to invent it.
No, it's been invented, but it's been and reinvented.
Yeah.
But it tends to be, teams of one or two, always located in another part of the globe, so you have a time zone disadvantage when you need tech support.
Hmm.
And I've tried some experiments in doing it myself, but keeping track of every single iOS and every single Android version and every single screen size that the user might have and every single compatibility change to the Safari WebKit or whatever it is, it's too much of a nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So I'm relying on a platform called Echoes,
Right.
and it comes and goes. They're the most widely used, but they can, Android can make some little change, or they can push out a new version, and the whole thing collapses.
So you're using the visitor's smartphone then. So you're trying to
Yeah.
adapt to everybody.
Well, after a couple weeks after launch, the winery said, "This is ridiculous. Let's buy our own."
Oh wow.
Because it was they were allowing a maximum of 6 people in at a time, but your tasting room staff is not technical support, and so putting them in that role. And I would go out with people and they'd be like, "Oh, the music is too loud, the music is too loud," and I would say, "Well, there's no music." And it turned out their phone was playing something in the background. They didn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Oh, that is too funny.
we bought some really nice open ear headphones, and but now with the summer coming, we think they're going to be too hot for people to wear, as there's no shade virtually on the entire tour. And we bought Android phones because there's no way we could afford a whole slew of iPhones.
Well, the point is you got one that you know that it works, right? And then if it works, it works. Unless I guess Android changes. Well, if you don't update it, right?
But you don't know what they're going to do while it's in their pocket or while they're out wandering around. And it'll come back and they'll say it wasn't working, and there'll be 9 apps that were open, and I've deinstalled virtually everything.
Yeah, that is yeah.
So it continues to be a problem, and they're charging $75 for the wine tasting, cheese pairing, private tasting afterwards. It's a big experience, and I don't want them refunding guests and then turning to me. So anyway, there's another platform called Sonic Maps that I also like, but it has its own issues. Anyway,
Have
it's
you
been
looked
fun.
at have
Yeah,
you looked at
so-
things like Sennheiser Guideport or one of those type of commercial systems where it's like made for museums to go
Well,
through? But
because
those
it's
are very
entirely
expensive.
outdoors, we
Yeah.
can't install beacons or anything. There's no
Okay.
Wi-Fi after you leave the barn, so we can load it on the phone and send them out. And I will literally go out there carrying 3 phones in each hand and 2 in my pockets, and walk the whole route and listen. Did I hear 6 times? Did it start? And I'll come back and I'll say they all work. There's no problem.
Mhm.
Right.
And then somebody will find a way to lose their way. So any solutions, we keep looking.
Yeah.
Which winery is this you?
It's Medlock Ames.
Okay.
It's on Chalk Hill Road on the east side of the Russian River.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Dan, should we get started here?
Well, gosh, it's 9 minutes into it. I guess we should. I'll have a little introductory talk. Usually the tech talk is a day-long intensive where we talk about recording technology, and we most of it is about microphones. We do the whole afternoon about microphone technology because microphones are so complicated and there's so many things to learn about microphones. all the different mechanisms of microphones, all the different directivity patterns of microphones, the different powering systems. It's really complicated. So that's usually the tech talk. And we were talking about, a few months ago, we were talking about, well, how are we going to do it in the days of COVID? And so then we thought, well, really it's a video. And then we thought, well, we'll do it live and we'll have cameras and all that. Well, we don't have a live camera switching system or multiple cameramen or anything like that. And that seems like a little too elaborate for our current technological level. And so I thought, well, Mark volunteered, Mark Lippman, who's there, volunteered to make a video, because that's what he does. He's a filmmaker, actually. And so we had some sessions a few months ago, and we made a video of a large part, at least 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the Tech Talk material, which, of course, when you see it again, you wish, that it was better. But we've added in some new illustrations and stuff. So the traditional Tech Talk has been mostly committed to video now. And then the question is, well, how do we distribute it? And we're in the process of designing a new website. And we want to have a members area. And so that's the perk. If you're a member, you can go in and watch these videos, which will be divided up into, subject chapters, kind of YouTube style. And so that's our plan for how to do the Tech Talk in the days of COVID. Obviously, we didn't make it to this date with our production, with our website, but that's our intention. And I would appreciate any comments or suggestions that you might have about that scheme.
Greg, you're muted.
I think one of the other things we're trying to do is after post-COVID, which my fingers are crossed that we're heading towards here, is kind of rebooting the organization a bit and updating the website. We're trying to get some new members on the board, trying to get more member involvement in the running of the society, so that Dan, Sharon, Steve, Mark, and I aren't the only ones doing the lifting, and to get more people involved, because we think it's worthwhile. And I think if you all are here, you think it's worthwhile as well. So that's kind of our goal, kind of going forward, kind of reinvigorating the organization a bit, and figuring out what the Nature Sound Society looks like now and in the future. So I just want to...
Greg is our president, by the way.
I'm the president. The other thing I just wanted to mention, upcoming events. The big upcoming one is in about 4 weeks. June 3rd through 5th is our annual workshop up at Yuba Pass. And it would be great to get a good crew out there to learn and record. And I think just about all of you have been to one before. And and it's a exhausting but exhilarating weekend. So hopefully we'll see some of you there. And with that, I'll turn it over back to Dan, I think, unless I missed anything.
Well, we can talk about the workshop logistics, but I think, Ernst, have you been to the workshop?
Yeah, one time.
Yes.
I think it
okay.
was the very last time that it happened
Right.
before COVID.
Yeah. It isn't too necessary to go through the details of, how we eat and sleep and all those things there. I was hoping to have some newcomers here to introduce to that. But except for Katie. Katie, have you been to the workshop?
Is Katie on?
Yeah, she's here. She's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
No, I have not been to the workshop, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. This will be your first time. Um, okay. And well, let me run through my little. Do you have a screen where you can see us, Katie?
Probably not.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I do not.
Okay,
And
then
I'm trying to stay muted as much as possible because I don't want to cause echoes on your end.
well, there's no echoes on your system, so you're cool. And
Okay.
but of course, background interference is all. We always appreciate muting when people are not participating. Okay. Well, I could share a couple of little slideshows I have here. Let's see what I can do. Stand by while I fumble about. That's it. I actually did it.
I see it, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the beginning of our big slideshow. But the reason I'm putting it up is because we've got some things about the workshop. Happy Crew. Okay, here's the things that we do. The workshop coming up, the Tech Talk, which is now. We have our partnership with the National Park Service. And I guess 3 of us here on the screen are currently Adopt a Park program participants. We each have a national park that we go record in with the approval and appreciation of the park itself. And recording trips we haven't done lately. Educational presentations are things like this one. Concert, gosh, the last time we did a concert,
2008.
2008, yeah. So, but that's something we'd like to do too. And here is a tech talk of yore. I'm sorry, what's his name? Who's speaking?
Rudy Trubit.
Rudy Truitt, yes.
You can say Greg Wettig in the bottom, the back of his head.
And that's
Lyman
Lyman Miller.
Miller.
Have not seen him.
No, he passed away
Oh, well, that explains it. Sorry.
right before COVID, so they couldn't do the
Yeah,
bill for him.
yeah. And let's see, that looks like my intern.
Zach.
Exactly.
Yeah, Zach, yeah. And so this was well attended. And
What's that wooden
What?
pipe organ in the upper left?
yeah, that's my that's a pride and joy, though it doesn't sound very good. It looks nice. I built that when I was 16.
Oh my
It was
gosh,
my
yeah, it's
organ
beautiful.
building. Yeah, it's very proud of that. It does play. It's kind of calliope tuned, but most of the notes play. Let me say that the top few notes don't play. And up at the field station, there's a dining hall, which is also a lecture hall. And here we are getting ready to do somebody's presentation. We try to get prominent people do something involved with nature recording or with, a science project. Who've just published a paper about something to do with nature sounds. And so we try to have featured speakers at the workshop. Can't tell you who we have this time yet, though. We're working on it to see if we can get anybody. And here's the other end of the dining hall, and this is at 3 a.m. or probably 3:15 a.m., where we're getting ready to go out, having a cup of coffee, and we're going to go out to record. And here we are out in the field. Our first location is usually Sierra Valley, which is a high altitude marsh. It's like the same altitude as Yosemite Valley, about 4,000 feet, I think. And we spread out along this gravel road, which occasionally we have a farmer's truck passes. It's grazing land, and so we're not allowed to go over the fences. But there's really a plethora of wildlife in the brush out there, and so all kinds of different recording rigs can be tested and set up and used. I can see a dish back there, and here's somebody with a shotgun over on the left. And it's a good location. We usually spend 90 minutes or so there. And then we go to another location, which I don't have a picture of. Okay, this is a workshop event back at the field station. And we are listening to different stereo microphone arrays. And so there's an ORTF that the gentleman is adjusting there and listening to. And this is probably Greg's ORTF. And we have a binaural microphone over here. I guess I can't see anything in the ears, but here's a dish. So we have all kinds of different things to listen to, and one rarely ever gets to be able to listen to the same, to different arrays of mics in the same sound field. So the ability to make comparisons for yourself and to move them back and forth. And
one of the advantages of having all this gear is that attendees can, as some of you know, can decide to take out some of this equipment and try it out. Like, I want to try this thing today. I want to try a different thing tomorrow. And you don't have to have a rig to system to attend the workshop. It will outfit you.
Jack. And here's another popular workshop that Sharon does. We supply the parts, and we have parts for making, it costs hundreds of dollars to get a good windscreen, but you cannot survive without windscreens in the field. So we have parts for making two types. The dome type here, which is made from it's a knitting form, and that's for making like shoulder-mounted little Omni mics, ordinarily what they call binaural mics. They're sold as now. And you can mount one of those inside one of these domes and have real good wind resistance and on your shoulder. And then we also have parts for making a windscreen for a shotgun mic or a cardioid mic. You can make it any size you like. And we have handles that are pre-made. And we supply all the hardware and Velcro and hot glue and stuff that you would need to build these. It's a lot of fun.
And fur.
And yes, and the fur, right. We supply the fur. So that's that little slideshow. Okay. Now I've got another little slideshow we can do. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, this is a slide talk that I never gave. So this will be its premiere. And so we saw this one before on the talk about, what are we doing this for? Well, there's lots of good reasons to do it. And but it all comes down to science and art and technology and camping altogether. What could be better? And our clientele, our members are all kinds of different people. Artists who want to have nature sounds along with their artworks, and sound designers for motion pictures and televisions, and radio producers like NPR, birders who want to study the sounds of the birds that they're studying, musicians who want to have birdsong or natural environments along with their music, biologists who want to up their skills. So we have a very wide range. And there's sort of a theme that we have, and that is that we like to make scientifically accurate recordings that are beautiful. and that's certainly possible to do both. And so that's the objective of many of us. The people, we who are recording in the parks, have that objective. We make soundscape recordings, which are beautiful to listen to, but of course also useful to document what the soundscape was at a given place and time. And again, this is a run through of the activities. And we have a protocol. We have a standard protocol, and I see this has not been updated. But it's pretty busy. We get there and we set up, and we start. Now it's an hour before sunset, and an hour after sunset, which encompasses the period that we used to record, but it's a little longer. It's half an hour longer. And I did that because that's a standard program that you can get in these, what's the name, Wildlife Acoustics? Is that the name of the company that makes the little green boxes?
Yeah.
That you can put on a tree.
Yeah.
It's like a camera trap, but it's a stereo recorder. And they have a standard program for recording dusk and dawn, which is an hour before sunset to an hour after sunset, and then an hour before sunrise to an hour after sunrise. So we adopted that as our standard. We've updated our standard. And then during the night, a lot of interesting things happen. And so I like to stand by during the night. And our recorders have pre-record buffers. The little handhelds have 3 seconds, which is really not enough. And but the Sound Devices recorders at 48K have 10 seconds, which is really good for night recording, because that's enough time. You hear something and say, "Oh, what was that? Huh, that was interesting. Gee, I should be recording. Oh, okay. The red button is there. Click." Okay, that's the mental condition at 3 o'clock in the morning when a tree falls or something. And with a 10-second buffer, it's great. But now I'm recording at 96K. I only have 5 seconds, so I'm still late. So I try to have a remote, home-built remote that's in my pack with me, so that in my sleeping bag, so I can get to that button within 5 seconds. And then you start recording in the morning, so you get a document of the time when the birds are most active, and hopefully you get the interesting stuff like owls and coyotes and trees falling and stuff that happens during the night, all the things that bump and call during the night, which is often very interesting. This is the time called nautical twilight, when the sailor can get the height of a star, so they can get their latitude. That's when the sun is, actually the technical definition, I think, is when the sun's 12 degrees below the horizon. Now the dawn chorus is usually, at least in the temperate zone, starts 15 or 20 minutes after nautical twilight. And if you're recording from an hour before sunrise, you'll definitely be starting before nautical twilight. And that's when the birds wake up. Here's an official permit, part of the form, scientific recording permit that the people who adopt a park use. And this is a portion of the published report that you have to turn in when you do work with National Park Service permits. You are required to make an annual report for each park that you work in, and so it's all done online. But I try to make it as useful as possible. And here's an example of the work, just the first page. I think it doesn't go any further, of an annual report, and this was from Yosemite, so it's got 5 sessions on it, and we have codes for the recording systems, and then we have a list of all the takes, all the files. There's a file list, and then following the file list is a marker list. because we do post-production work on it and mark as many species as we can. Of course, if they repeat over and over again, we don't mark them every time. But we try to get a census of everything we can identify and, you know, post things on SoundCloud sometimes. I mean, on what's it called? iNaturalist. If you're stumped on something, you can make a clip of it and post it on iNaturalist and ask for experts to help you. And frequently experts will show up. I've gotten a couple of rare findings in Yosemite that are not really rare, of interest, birds of interest, that I really wanted to get up to scientific level. And if you have, I think, two people that agree that you will that your identification is correct, then it gets scientific observation status on iNaturalist. So that's kind of the gold standard of an observation, is being collaborated by a couple of other listeners. And then we submit the stuff to the park. They own all the recordings. Doesn't mean we can't make artistic works out of them, but they belong to the parks, which means they're public also. So we can't sell
Public
them.
domain.
Public domain, yeah. And so this is a kind of a checklist for submission, because there's just a little space with, I think, 2,000 characters or something that you can write your findings. And so I usually put like an executive summary in that, and then I put like a 5 or 10 page Word file along with it, actually as a PDF. I have a PDF of the Word file with the detailed findings, the list of all the takes, and the list of all the markers for each location. And using the Sound Devices recorders, which are motion picture recorders, you can use timecode. So I use real-time timecode, which I, you know, set my recorder clock as tight as I can, within a minute anyway. And then the markers, and I put, in the Pro Tools session, I put, you know, I spot everything by timecode. And so then the markers, when I print out the marker list and edit it down, you can print a marker list from Pro Tools, and I'm sure other programs do that too. And then I have a list of time codes and the name of the thing that happened at those times. Everything that happened, you know, airplane went over, etc., and species. And so I've got this long description which has all that information in it, so that somebody in 50 years who's looking for what happened at Point Reyes or something will come across Mark's notes and his recordings and be able to make sense of them, hopefully. That's our objective, is to give it legs for the future. Because, you know, recordings are, even with digital, which is non-linear, they're still linear. You know, you can't tell what's in a recording without having some kind of a breakdown. So you need a list or highlights or an annotated spectrogram. You know, there's many ways to do it. I would love to do an annotated strip spectrogram for everything I record, but that's been a little bit too complicated to make routine yet, but it's an objective. Anyway, something I would like to do. I'd love to do. Actually, are there any questions about any that we should talk amongst ourselves? Are there any questions about this, what I've done so far?
One question, we don't have to talk about this now, but just in terms of the recordings being public domain, is there a clear process for how members of the public could get access to those recordings?
No. What I do is I annotate them when I put them up on iNaturalist or on SoundCloud. I put a Creative Commons attribution on them, which is the one that says that you can't sell this, and if you reproduce it, you have to give the credit for it. And I have the credit there on the file also. I mean, in the information for the file. And
does that actually hold for public domain works?
Well, Creative Commons is it's a courtesy public domain system
Uh-huh.
of copyright. Basically,
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
property control system for stuff that is being given away, but it's a
Right.
set of rules. So it's not absolutely
Right.
open because you require attribution. And I don't know if you have any grounds to sue anybody, but it's based
Mhm.
on. I
I
think it's based on courtesy and
Yeah.
I think that if it's public domain, you don't have to attribute. I think that is probably
yeah,
what
yeah,
Ernst is getting at a
yeah.
little bit.
That's right. But Creative Commons is just an attempt
Right.
of
Yeah.
people of goodwill to say this is how we're releasing it, and
But in
please,
terms of getting the actual, like, getting the original, getting copies of the original recordings, it's through the NPS. There's not a system in place.
I think it entirely depends on the park. Yosemite is being a giant park with big budget and a lot of science being done there. They have a big digital archive which includes media.
Mhm.
Now, to access those files, you would probably have to be from some institution.
Hmm.
Just like going into any library of original material. Um, if you're a PhD candidate from some university, I'm sure you can have
Mhm.
open access to all that material. I have experimented with. I put all my recordings, the entire sessions from one of the locations I did at Yosemite last year. I put it up on SoundCloud. All the original multi-channel files are there. Now SoundCloud plays it back in stereo, but I think in the future they're going to have some kind of a system for playing surround sound. I'm hoping. Um, but right now, it basically mixes everything down to stereo. You know, 1, 2, left, right, 3, 4, left, right, 5, 6, left, right. That's what it does. Um, and that's just an experiment to see, about is the access interesting. Um, being raw files, their levels are kind of low, and I have an explanation at the beginning that this is not mastered for distribution. It's the raw files, so make of it what you can. Most people who are listening, like on a laptop or something, would probably not be able to get any satisfactory listening out of it because the level you can't turn up. You don't have all that much gain available on a laptop's
Right.
little speakers. So that's a problem. I acknowledge that in the introduction I have to it. But eventually, I would like, and we would like as a society, to have all of these public domain files up on some kind of site
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
where you could get to them. And that's
Yeah.
kind of that's my retirement project.
Yeah.
Is to, I'm still going out and getting the stuff, but I have this huge archive, and a lot of it's 4-channel surround, and I would really like to have it somewhere publicly accessible.
Yeah.
A sure thing that we can do is Internet Archive.
Mhm.
They will welcome putting up the files. In terms of the playback facilities, I really don't know what they offer currently, but
I
somewhere.
think you'd have to basically just make them downloadable for people to be able to play them back on their own systems. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah,
to kind of rely on there being some multi-channel streaming system. I don't see that happening reliably. I mean, unless you go with a proprietary system like, the way Apple Music is now using Dolby Atmos, for example.
yes,
Um,
yes.
but
Yeah, I think it really depends on the park too. Like I record at Lassen, and I think they have the recordings I've done there in a binder on a shelf. And when they need stuff for this or that, they call me and say, "Hey, Greg, we're looking for this," or someone is looking for this type of thing. And since I kind of know what everything is, I find it from my archive and give it to them. Just because they don't really have the staff, especially now since their fire, they're really short staffed, and it's hard to find people who know what to do with these many hours of recordings. So I think it's tricky until they get to a point where they can just upload everything to an archive and let members of the public download it.
In Point Reyes, there's no system in place yet for, as a repository for the recordings we're making there. So this is all like figure it out as you go. And I'm interfacing both with the national park itself and with the nonprofit, the Park Association. And similarly to Greg, when they need something, I get an email and I just put together a 1-minute clip of elephant seal mother and pups calling for a Mother's Day email blast that they're putting out. So you're going to have a little
Nice.
1-minute audio clip.
Very
for
nice.
Mother's Day.
Oh, cool.
Good.
Great.
I don't want to take the discussion too far afield, but just speaking about the ability to share multi-channel recordings, I'm working with a new company in Emeryville that's like 30-year Apple and Pixar veterans. It's called Spatial.
Yes, I went to their AES meeting.
Okay, what do you think?
It's a little odd. They're kind of off in a little corner and of their own, which I'm a little concerned about. Apparently, there's a lot of money behind it or something because
A lot.
yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't. They would be kind of involved in something more common to everyone. But it's a proprietary system, and it looks good. It's like it was unfinished at the time. It was obviously needed a lot of work, but very interesting and good, good stuff. And they were composing rather than their nature soundscapes were composed rather than being actual nature soundscapes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's one of the things that they want their service to be. But it could have application that somebody else who had a 4 or 8 channel. For those of you who don't know, it's a system agnostic spatial encoding. So the author of a soundscape can publish it with the encoding information of where the sounds are. It can be used as a generative system where it improvises a soundscape, as Dan was pointing out, as opposed to a fixed recording of real nature. But your encoding doesn't care what kind of system the end user has. And so it could be all the way from a binaural listening over headphones to 4 speakers to it handles 128. And they have one installed in somebody's garden in Marin with 128 speakers.
Where is that?
Well, it's a private individual. So
Oh, interesting.
they're working on getting me there in a couple of weeks, but he's also an investor in the company, and so they installed it for him. But basically you tell the rendering system where your speakers are, and it does entirely real-time calculations over which speakers to send how much power to.
Right.
Sounds ambisonic-ish.
Well,
Sure.
Similar
Does
to
Atmos
Like
work in a
Atmos.
similar way?
Yes, it does. And that's my question about things like that is, I'm reluctant to invest a lot of time into something that's not widely distributed. You could possibly convince me to, put my stuff into an Atmos format. Spatial, it's going to take a lot of effort to put a whole library of stuff into some format, and it's got to be something ubiquitous that a lot of people can play back.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
well,
something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
What is it? Spatial? Is it just called Spatial or Spatial Audio Lab?
It has some. Yeah, it's. I can look it up real quick. Spatial Audio Lab sounds right. No,
No,
that's
they make speakers, it looks like.
yeah.
Well, Well, just if
Sorry.
you find it, throw it in the chat.
Spatial ink.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And again, not to get a sidetracked, but Dan, I'd love to hear more about what you're talking about in terms of an annotated spectrogram, because I've been working on a couple of things and doing some JavaScript programming. So maybe later you can fill me in on what you look for in such a system.
Yeah, well, this is inspired by the Park Service has and actually in my, I can go to the other show. I actually have a picture of the thing that the Park Service does. They have a system which they have a 24-hour recording, which has been recorded as third octave data rather than audio. So it's a third octave analysis recorded over 24 hours. And so they can print that as a strip chart, and it's they put 2-hour strips, so they've got 12 2-hour strips on a landscape page, and it's amazing with miniaturized like that how much you can see. You can just go through it and you can see when the dawn chorus was and when the and so on. And
That's using a human analysis, or you're just seeing the graph. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's all automated. It's an automated system that the Park Service uses. And then, you can take a graphic of that and annotate it by circling things and saying, this is the helicopter that we're interested in and things like that,
Yeah.
But you can tell what type of, you can tell jets from prop planes and you can see when it rains and you can see when it's windy, and it's really interesting. And I would love to be able to do that with all my stuff, but unfortunately it's a very proprietary software system, which, I mean, it's available to the public. You can get it. It's just, it's all on PCs, and it's all on rather antique PCs.
At this
So,
point, yeah.
yeah, so I'm not sure that that it's that useful for the future, but the concept is brilliant, and that's what I want to encourage.
Yeah. If you have a slide, definitely like to take a look.
I'm looking for the slide, and it looks like it's not in this show.
I'm sure it was.
Well, yeah, but then I go into this must be a cut down version.
Okay.
It's not in this one that I have open. That's
That was the one that was in Denali with the solar panels attached to it.
It's in your Snow Goose Festival presentation, I know.
I think that's what he was
Well,
looking at.
That's what I was looking at.
Oh, really?
I
I'm
don't-
certain it's there.
Well, so am I, and that's why I was in it. But it didn't show up. Let me look for another one. Okay, file. It was 11. No other. Well, this is only recent. Okay. Okay, here's 15 and 16. I'll bet this will have it. Okay. Here it is. Okay, I found it. And full screen. Okay. Have we got that up? Am I still
No, you're not sharing screen anymore.
Not sharing. Okay. Stand by. Got to get back to Zoom me. Okay, and then share screen. And I'm looking at all. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Now, why didn't that show up? Well,
Might have chosen only one window rather than the.
yeah, I'll go back to Zoom and try again.
Yeah, spatial looks really interesting, Hugh. I'll look further into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like broadly applicable for the home user, but
Oh, of course, right.
I design experiences for people's gardens, particularly that require so much on-site custom work.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were able to, encode it in advance, I would know exactly what it would sound like
Sure.
or what it would feel like, regardless of where their speakers end up being.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just installed a 14.1 system in my studio in Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be, but I haven't installed the software yet. So in the coming weeks, I'll get a sense of
Oh, great.
how well it's going to work.
Hit
And
the
they're
play
technicians. They're desperate for creative people to
play button, Dan.
Oh, that's what I was missing. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so this is an example of the Park Service, and it's an annotated version. This is in Haleakala, I think, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. So here's rain during the night, and then this is tropical insects. This line up here.
Okay.
So each of these stripes is 2 hours. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and so no, 0 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5 a.m. and so on. And so we have insects, and then the insects die out, and we have the dawn chorus.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the dawn chorus. And then the tourist helicopters start.
Oh my God.
And this is tourist helicopters all day and some rain.
Wow.
And then when that finishes, it goes into the night again, and you've got this stripe at high frequencies, which they say unidentified sound, possibly insects. No, it's insects. Yeah, that's the tropical, same thing we had up here, the tropical insects.
All right. So we're seeing human analysis based on visual factors. We're not seeing artificial intelligence processing of the
That's right.
data. Okay.
That's right. But just presenting the data in this form, having this as an index to the recording is so valuable.
Sure.
And if you could make an interface where you could say, well, what was that? And click on it. Oops, I just clicked on something and then it went to the next slide. Okay. And click on that and have it locate that in the sound recording. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
But as an indexing method for nature sound recordings, that's
Something
strip-
that go ahead.
I'm just saying the strip chart spectrogram is incredibly powerful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you don't have to scroll through to find. You can look at it and you can go, oh, this is the overall picture of health of this is like the broadest stroke of the health of a ecosystem in my mind. It's like, let's look at this. Oh, okay. This tells me a lot without even hearing it.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing us that. It's very illuminating.
Oh, I just love it. I want to be able to do it.
And do these acoustic indices that are being developed have any bearing on this? Because I know there's a lot of innovation in that.
Yeah, I went to a webinar on acoustic indices, and you can chart the acoustic any index you wanted, I guess. Index is a derived, it's processing the data in some way that shows you a number that tells you something about the data that you want to know, right? So you could have an index of density of birdsong or something like that, and then see that, over 24 hours. That's the idea of acoustic indices. Or you could have indices which were particular species. It's a generic term.
I just don't remember if there's this kind of visualization attached to that. Like,
Yeah, I think not actually. This is really more sophisticated in terms of, the humans do less, and the system just sort of presents it to you.
And should we go on?
Well, on is where we're going now.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I may need to leave a little early, but I'll follow along until then.
Well, it's great having.
Hugh, are you coming to Yuba Pass?
I was hoping to until just a couple of days ago. I have to go to Sweden to install 2 string quartets of my sonic furniture in the garden of the oldest castle in Sweden. Chairs provided by IKEA, which is great. And they were being really, the festival, it's 3 years in the making. It was canceled twice because of COVID. And they priced my airfare they budgeted my airfare a long time ago, and in Swedish kroner, not US dollars. And finally this week we reached an agreement that's satisfactory for me to go. So I probably have to leave like on the, I don't know, it's not that weekend, but it's very soon after. So I will hope to, but I don't quite know yet. Remind me, does it start Friday at dinner or earlier?
Friday afternoon for registration.
Yeah. Okay. And then finishes by
Sunday.
by
Sunday
noon on
noon.
Sunday, or like late afternoon? Or...
Sunday after lunch.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do my best. And I have all sorts of new goodies. I've bought a number of 32-bit recorders, and I have a geophone, and I have the Loam Ushi that everybody tries so hard to get.
Would you be willing to do a talk about what you're doing right now?
A short talk. I don't think it's any scientific breakthroughs or that I've achieved any remarkable mastery, but I'm happy to,
Well, you're out there doing it, and it's we're all interested in
okay, sure,
how you're doing it.
Sure. Well, I'll work on whether I can get the other project done, and then spend the weekend with you all, because it would be a great pleasure.
Always great to have you.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to come up late or something like that, that's fine. Well, we can.
Has Cheryl Leonard been associated with Natural Sound Society?
Yeah, she's given a talk to. She gave a lecture to us, I think, here in the lab.
She does super interesting work and would be great to have as an active participant, I think.
Yeah.
Does anybody know anything about a kind of social network that Bernie Krause invited me to, and I just got your application was accepted, and then I must have filled out something a year ago.
What's it called?
I'm gonna have to look. It didn't look like it was very active, but it looks like it's led by Bernie and Kat, and some other names I knew were on it. Let me see if I can find the. Anyway, go on. I'll dig it up in a few minutes.
I haven't heard about it.
It seems like it was intended to make a little community of nature sound people, but anyway, don't wait for me.
Okay.
I'll be digging it up for a little while, because I have to think about what it was called.
Well, the only other further presentation that I have is I could go through that slideshow that describes what my current recording systems are, but don't know if the people here really need to know that. We all have our own styles. Everyone here is established except for Katie with their systems.
Well, Dan, do you want to talk, kind of do a summary of it, and if we have questions or additions or It would be maybe a nice structure for talking about our systems, or
Okay,
we
sure.
can cut. Maybe we can share what we all do, since
Yeah.
I don't think we have a formal agenda here.
No, we don't. Well, I have a heavy system and a light system. Heavy
Mhm.
system is where, it's within a quarter mile or 100 yards, hopefully, of where I can drive and unload, because it's really heavy. I mean, as a 4-channel system, it weighs 30 pounds or so. When I add the Atmos overhead mics, it becomes a 6-channel system, and then it's like 55 pounds or so. So one could backpack that, but you wouldn't have any sleeping bag or anything. And the principle behind it is what I call the Rich Peet technique. Rich, P-E-E-T. This was a person who was on the Nature Recordist
Excuse me.
list. Maybe 10 years ago, he's kicked off by Martin over disagreement over something. And but I still use his name because he taught us all this technique, and it's a really valuable technique. And the technique is this: you have your favorite stereo array, which could be MS, could be ORTF, could be Jacqueline disc, whatever your preferred stereo array is, and that's your front channels. So you start with that. That's the base, and then you go off to the left. Say you're on a trail, you just go off to the left 40 feet or so, and you go off to the right 40 feet or so, and you put up an Omni mic in each of those locations, and those become your surround mics, your left and right surround mics. And that gives you a wonderful, it does several different things. It plays back nicely on speakers. If you have ORTF or Jacqueline disc, it's very good in binaural. Hi, Mike. Good to
Hi,
see
Dan.
you.
How's it going?
Good. We're just talking about systems here, and you can chime in as soon as we get there. And so, and then I've added to it, 2 mics on a 16-foot high stand, which are about 8 feet apart. I would love to have them 16 feet apart, but that's impractical. And those are 2 Omnis also, and those are the height channels, which I've put in speakers in my studio now. You can see one just over my shoulder there. Actually that's a side surround. There's a height speaker up there, right there above my finger. Yeah, that's a height speaker there. They're not all working yet. It's not all wired up yet, but I've been doing recordings with height for about 5 years or so, so I've got a lot of stuff to listen to properly once I get it all wired up. Anyway, so that's the heavy system, and that runs with Sound Devices recorders. I'm using the MixPre 10 right now, 10.2, and I'm using the 32-bit mode with that. And then I have a light system, and the light system can be as little as 3 pounds. So that's for backpacking. And it's 4 channels of Telinga clip-on microphones. And the Telinga clip-ons are, each microphone is actually a pair of the popular 172. EM172, and what's the name of that? Anyway, that's the raw
Those are
capsule.
cardioids, right?
No, they're Omnis.
They're Omnis. Mm-hmm.
And there's a pair of them which are matched and wired in parallel, basically, so it gives you 3 dB better signal to noise. So that, it's below the threshold of, the guy that seems to have retired now, a university guy, sort of set an arbitrary standard, said below 16 dBA self-noise is a mic that can be used for soundscape recording.
Rob Danielson.
Rob Danielson, thank you. That's the arbitrary standard that he set. And so this is about a 14 dBA system, the light system, which is adequate for most soundscapes. Not for the desert, not for a really quiet forest, but adequate in most places where there's some kind of background anyway. And I mean, when it gets to like the desert where I was just recording, it goes down to nothing. It's just nothing. You have mics with 8 or 10 dBA self noise, and that's all you hear. You can't balance the microphones in the middle of the night. You know, if you were setting up before dawn chorus, which I tried, you can't balance the mics by ear because there's nothing, and it's all you hear is the mic hiss. Anyway, the light system in its ultralight form goes into a modified Zoom H2, which was their little 4-channel handheld microphone, and it's been modified with 2 3.5 millimeter jacks so that it can power a front pair and a rear pair. It has the mics have been taken out of it and 2 mic jacks put in there instead, and that works very well for a really ultralight 3-pound system. But actually, I've been using those mics lately with the MixPre and the Niant adapters. Company named Niant makes an adapter that takes a 3.5 millimeter plug and puts it into 2 XLRs, phantom powered, so you can power your PIP system from a professional recorder. And so I've been using that as the system, and in, for example, Ackerson Meadow, which is one of my annual sites in Yosemite, I have a big tree and I tie a cord around it, and then at 90 degrees, you know, the 4 points of the compass or whatever, I put the Talinga microphones, and so I have a 4-channel baffled surround system on the tree, and that works amazingly well. The amount of separation between the different sides is more than you'd expect. Of course, the bigger the tree, the better, because you get more distance and more time delay. I don't like single point microphones. I like space in my recording. That's why I like the Rich Pete when you've got those 2 40-foot apart mics, which end up, if you're in a meadow, you can not only put them left and right, but you can space them back behind. And I don't necessarily make it a symmetrical array. If there's a little copse of trees over on this side, I'll mic the copse of trees. Because, it's an illusion. It's all an illusion. And you just make the most pretty recording you can of it. Anyway, so that's an introduction to maybe we can encourage other people to say what their systems are.
Yeah, I was just pulling up some pictures of mine. I was going to post the link to, I posted a link to Niant, and Ernst mentioned the company that makes a geophone, and I think they're called LOM.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned them, but yeah.
I mentioned them. Okay.
Hugh.
mentioned them. Okay. Anyway, I'm putting some of those links in the chat so people can see some of this. I'll do a little bit. I just pulled up some pictures of my system. That's not the right screen. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so what I'm using is this is my, I guess what I would call my heavy system. I have a quad system here with a, what's the company that makes that? An A-Ray by
Ambient.
Thank you. On a tripod with 4 Sennheiser MKH I think 90s, 80 90s, which are the subcardioid variant of their small microphones in each one. And then I have a high array with another secondary tripod and 2 microphones. These are Omnis, a meter apart, pointing in either direction for the height channels. Some of us have been moving towards a more, I guess, Atmos compatible system. So we've been experimenting with this as kind of a stopgap. Well, not stopgap, but a standard. It is not a standard, but for us, I guess it's a standard that we're kind of trying out. There's a better picture of it from the front. So it is not in focus, but that kind of shows it. So the upper microphones are Omnis just because I have Omnis there. So that's why I use Omnis up there. Anyway, the other thing I was gonna show is how I can fit that system into all right, where's the share screen? Okay. I can fit that system into a backpack. Basically, this is the quad part of the system in a backpack. When I was at Lassen last year on a trip, and I can actually fit the height microphones in there as well. I just leave out some food and a stove and some other less important things, and I can backpack the whole thing in. It tends to be 30 or 40 pounds with everything. And it's not the most graceful, but it does the job. It gets it there.
That's great, being able to take that out.
So that is kind of the system I'm using. I think the heaviest part now is the cable. It used to be the batteries, and now that batteries are getting so much lighter, the 100 feet of cable, 100 feet of 6-channel cable tends to be the heaviest part. Kind of the most ungainly in a backpack.
Might want to look into their adapters where you can run multi-channel over, even not just Dante, but just a straight physical analog adapter to run over Ethernet. So I think you could probably run shorter cables to an Ethernet adapter, long Ethernet cable. That kind of thing might work.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And I know I have a Ambisonic mic that uses that technique, and it seems to be pretty quiet. I was a little worried about crosstalk between the channels with that, but I haven't experimented with it yet. So no, that's worth looking into. Thank you. So that is my system, what I've been using lately. Does anyone else want to share or talk about what they're using? Mark?
I can chime in. I think I'm the new kid on the block doing this. And at the point, and I've learned all of this through Nature Sound Society and the Yuba Pass workshops and what everybody's doing. And at the point where I was starting to buy equipment, I was still actively making documentary films. So I was thinking about gear that would serve dual purposes, which led me to an MS array. So I have a Sennheiser a 3040 mid-side, mid-side mics with two 8020s for the surrounds, and I've done a side-by-side comparison of that and the Jecklin disc, and the spatial, the spatial placement of sound with the Jecklin is much better, and I'm wanting to do something with spaced mics. So I'm also just coming off of a couple of days of field recordings, lugging around a 40-pound pack, and I really want to get lighter. So that's it's something I'm just starting to figure out how to do.
Nice. Mark has also been, I lent Mark my hydrophones, and he's hopefully going to get out and try those things out. I haven't really had much of a chance to use those, but I have 2 of them, and I made floats for them so I could float them out and put a certain amount of distance between them. But that is something that I'm just starting to experiment with, and I'm trying to make Mark do some of my prototyping for that.
And actually, I bought a more tubing so to hold them separate at a fixed distance, but I haven't rigged the whole thing up.
Yeah, it's a float system built from using PVC piping and pipe insulation as the floating material. I guess I could find a picture of that. I'm sure I have it somewhere. Anyway, does anyone have any questions or additions or?
Oh, hi, this is Mike. I have a question. So, I'm not, I mean, my system is pretty small. That's all I can justify given what I do. But I've got like a Sony PCM M10, and then just a couple mics, NT4 and like a Sony 957. And, it's all I can justify for what I do. We're over the hill in Santa Cruz now, and just the level of, noise here from planes and stuff. It's hard to justify going out and getting some new equipment. But, the PCM M10 is getting old, and I just sort of worry about it. And, I've been sort of listening to what you guys have been saying online about the new floating point recorders. And I've just been kind of wondering, is there something, I guess this qualifies as sort of low end, but good, which the PCM M10 seems to be, that would have the floating point capability? And I guess the other question is, I guess that if the floating point type data, I guess this would make my old sound processing equipment obsolete. I mean, I guess it probably wouldn't handle the floating point architecture.
Well, most workstations are, if I may interrupt, most workstations are floating point in the workstation.
But the sound recording, the sound processing software.
Well, that's where you do the, in the digital audio workstation software, like Pro Tools, is where you do the editing and processing. And let's say Pro Tools has been 32-bit for many years.
Oh, but 32-bit, does that mean it also handles floating point?
Yes, it does.
All right, back to the first question. Is there a floating point recorder that sort of I could use to replace the PCM?
Yeah,
you just put in the chat this the Zoom F3, which is the newest and smallest. It's kind of remarkable how it has basically almost no controls, because you don't even have to set gain with 32-bit. No built-in mics. It does not have built-in mics, but it's basically just big enough for 2 XLR plugs. It's kind of this remarkable little tiny thing. And headphone amp is not going to be as good as with a Sound Devices MixPre 3, but you can monitor on headphones and get a sort of approximation of what's going on.
Oh, great.
That'd probably be the cheapest of the current, and the best. Best in that price range. The best would be the MixPre 3, but that's going to be double the price probably.
Yeah, it looks like the F3, which I haven't actually seen yet, is about $350, which is probably in line or less than what the Sony originally was.
I think the Sony was like 300. It was.
Yeah, the Sony was a great deal. It was such a good recorder. I mean, keep it as long as you can, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been buying them off eBay, and they're costing certainly $300 or more.
Man, I had the D100, which is the the best
Sure.
of the best. And I dropped it from waist height onto a wooden floor and sent it into Sony Professional Repair. They said they can't repair it.
Ah, bummer.
So bumming.
People make fun of me. They're like, "Why aren't you buying X, Y, and Z?" I mean, I also have the sound devices mix pre, but the main thing for me is the ability to leave the Sony in the field somewhere for a really long time. And with these, I think it's the Eneloop battery. I'll come back a week later and it's still running. I mean, the memory, the problem is that it only takes a 32 gig memory chip. You can't put in 64 or 128. So you've got 4 gig internal memory and 32 gig. And so that's about, at 4416, that's about 2.5 days, which is good because it means I can deploy it somewhere and I can get 2 Dawn choruses. But seriously, if I forget about it or leave it somewhere and I go back a week later, the screen will still, with those batteries,
yeah, it's
the screen will still be on. But they're getting old, and every time I take the memory chip out, I have to reseat it very quickly and very carefully to fiddle with it so that it accepts the memory chip, and they will soon need to be replaced. And for battery life, it's just
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way I work, is to leave things and then come back and visit them later, see what I got.
Right. Well, the newer recorders will usually accept USB power, so you can get a battery brick and power them for weeks, even. You know, I mean, maybe not weeks, but for days and days using a USB external battery.
Yeah, I was just looking at that F3, and you can power with, it looks like AA batteries or with a USB brick. So that was my question about it.
So I have a question. If anybody has experience with the Mix Pre, it seems to me, I've been using it only really for in-person recordings and not leaving it. But when I've left it, it seems to not write the last file.
Ooh.
If the battery dies, it seems to. I'll see a one of the standard one, like a 1.5 gig file, but it'll be empty.
Oof.
Has anybody had that experience?
Well, I only run down accidentally, so
Yeah.
So I can't say, but you should put in a service tag on that.
Are you up to, I mean, I'm sure you are, but are you up to date on the latest patches? Because they update it the software.
I did buy it the day it came out, so it's possible that would be a solution.
Oh, definitely. There's been a number of updates since then.
I think I remember, and it's been a while since I've looked, but I think I remember seeing a patch note on that, possibly on that issue.
Okay, great, thanks.
So just double check that you're up to date on the latest
firmware,
and it's free. Of course, you can download it all, and they seem to be pretty conservative with how they roll it out, so it doesn't break anything else. But I think there were a couple of updates this year. I think I'm one behind on it right now myself.
I have a memory of doing that, but I don't know how recent. I don't know. I'll have to check. So Zoom also makes the F2, but it's a little bit more primitive. But it's a cute little device. It's so small. And so if I'm recording like insects in a flower bed or something, I can just leave it there. That's also 32-bit, no control. And then there's the Instamic. I'll put the link here, which is the same thing, a little tiny device with no controls that does 32-bit float.
Not 32-bit, but I got Sharon for her birthday the latest Sony little pocket recorder, which is the PCM-A10, I think. and it's really tiny.
Mhm.
And it unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which angle you're coming from, it does not have a battery in it at all because it doesn't have room for. I mean, it doesn't have room for a replaceable battery. So it's got a lithium ion, probably something like what's in a digital watch. Probably too small for a phone, but it gets good life, and it has a USB connector that slides out of it, and so you plug it right in to a charger. I just discovered that it has a real bug that if you plug it into a computer to charge it, when you unplug it, all your files are corrupted. So if you plug it into a computer, you transfer everything. It's not very expensive, but it sounds very good with with my PIP mics plugged into it. So actually, that's what I've been playing this series of stuff from Joshua Tree on is the PCMA10. Let's see, we can go a little further to where the birds are active. Okay, here we go. There. This is Zoom stereo if you have the ability to listen to it. You hear that little ticking on the right channel, which is also some kind of bug. I got it to go away by reorienting the cable. I don't know whether it's something being radiated from the recorder's power supply or the display, or I don't know what, but I had to tune it out by moving the cable. Anyway, that's our mini recorder of choice, and the one that we use for drop, for leaving in place. Battery seems to last a long time. I've never run one down, so I don't know how long it lasts. It's got a built-in memory and of course a micro SD card external that you can put in. But tiny.
I think we're just coming up on 11:30 here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone has any additional questions or before we start to wrap up here. I don't want to rush anyone.
I'm done.
Yeah, I was just looking at that F3 actually. It's been a while since I've looked at Zoom's site. It's pretty cool looking.
A lot of
Does it
people
have
are
a 3.5
talking
inch
about it.
Hey, there's Katie with a picture. Hi, Katie.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you all. And I hope I'll be able to spring free that weekend and spend some time
We hope to see
in
you.
the mountains.
Great. We look forward to that, and it's great hearing about your projects.
Well, thanks.
All
Thanks.
right. Nice to see you.
Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Good to see you all. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think shortly after this, probably this weekend, Dan and I are going to get official notification out about the workshop and get the sign-up sheets out, sorted out for that June 3rd workshop.
Definitely early this week.
Yep. So we'll keep your eye out for that. I'll also put it on the Facebook page. And yeah, we hope to see you all there. And if there's anything that we're going to try to be reaching out to people for help with things as the year goes on, and we'd appreciate anyone's help with some of our events and stuff.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
All right.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
Mike.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to
Thanks.
have you, Ernest.
All right.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay, good job, Dan.
Thank you very much for soldiering through, Greg.
Yeah, it wasn't that
Yes.
bad.
With my utter lack of preparation and normal stumbling around, it was great to have another person on the line.
No, it was fine. I just was feeling crappy and feeling a little woe is me, but yeah, it wasn't that bad. I didn't feel like I was suffering.
We distracted you.
I was just kind of foggy and like trying to think of the names of things or feeling like I'm blabbing a little bit.
That was good. It was good.
So,
I thought it was a good discussion of the issues that we've been talking over and over again, the archiving issues, and that might be some things sort of occurred to me. One would be it might be a nice thing to talk about light systems in the workshop, have something focused on that, and then just sort of get a discussion going of, you know, the whole issue of how do we get nature sounds out there? How do we, what are some options for archiving? Because both Ernst and
You.
Hugh had some great ideas, and their areas of interest and expertise are, they're associated with nature sounds, but they're doing some very, very interesting things outside.
yeah, no, and I don't think I've met Hugh before.
Oh, okay.
It sounds
known him
like
for
he
a long
does a lot
time.
of install type of stuff.
He
Yeah.
does. He's done gardens. He had a big installation. Mostly he works in Marin, Sonoma, and with very rich people. His mother is a, a conductor or a music director for an orchestra in Czechoslovakia.
Huh.
So he spends a lot of time in Europe, usually during the summers, doing interesting things for festivals.
Yeah.
So he's. Oh, you're putting me.
Trying to get you in the picture.
Hi.
Are you in
So-
the picture yet?
Am I in the picture?
I can't tell.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
there you are.
I'm
there
not.
you
I'm
are.
over.
No, you
Oh
have to
no.
go
Do I
this
go this way?
This way, yeah.
Go this
There you
way.
are.
All
There
right.
you are.
Anyway, he's done some very interesting installations, and I'm thinking maybe I'll go get a tasting at that winery just to see what he's done and what his installations are.
Yeah.
But he's got, I think he's an accomplished musician, so he's coming at it from the music side of things.
Yeah.
And has added the nature sounds. And Ernst, you met last year.
Yeah. Ernst, I met. I like Ernst.
He does motion picture soundtracks.
Yeah.
Surround sound.
Yeah. No, he seems to have a lot of knowledge as well, kind of outside of my range.
Yeah. So, if both of them can come there, and Hugh can give a little talk about what he's doing, and maybe you can get Ernst to give a little talk about what he does.
Yeah.
Because Dan, you took Ryuta up to
His studio, yeah.
his studio at one point. So.
Yeah, he was working on a film, showed us some clips.
Yeah.
It wasn't nature sound.
Yeah, both of them. And I think if we have a small workshop and it's just a couple of us, it makes it easier for stuff like this to happen where
Yeah.
it's like we can do mini presentations to each other and it can be really question and answer, which is sometimes more interesting. But and I know that Ken is planning to do a talk on owls, not necessarily sound related, but
it's science related, which is
it's science related. And
Which
Ken
is
is coming in wanting to learn about recording and what we do as well. So
okay.
it works both ways.
It works both ways.
And if I never heard back from Greg Budney after we decided if he's not flying out, we'd have him. I said, well, if you're out there and we'd love to have you give us a little talk, but I'm not sure where that's at. I think he was hoping to get enough people out there. So.
Okay.
Now I hear the clicking.
You're right, it went away.
No, I hear it now. I think
Now,
or
yeah, I
something.
hear the now.
Well, I mean, I hear a bird that's clicking, but
Is that a bird or
that's a
is
bird.
that
That's a bird.
Oh, okay.
But actually, the clicking has gone away.
Oh, okay.
No, it's still there. It's only in the right side.
Hmm.
It's perfectly,
I can't hear it at all.
perfectly regular.
The Instamic. Did you see that Instamic that Hugh posted?
Yeah, I was looking at the Rode makes a system like that, a little, wireless transmitter, because I'm getting tired of carrying cables around too.
Yeah,
I should go wireless, but I mean that's thousands and thousands of dollars for the heavy system.
right.
But they're these little low budget wireless transmitters,
Yeah.
and I think Rode makes a system with a 2-channel receiver, and it's a kit you buy. It has 2 mono transmitters and a 2-channel receiver, and the battery life is maybe 5-6 hours, which means I could get through a session with 1 battery change, I think.
Well, I just ordered a F3. Check it out.
Yeah.
I don't have a light recorder, although the Sound Devices ones are pretty light.
Yeah.
This looked interesting. So, anything I can do for the press release stuff on the workshop? Anything I can do to help get that going? Edit a PDF or
We could pull up what we sent out last year.
yeah, and if you want me
no,
to
actually 3 years ago, because we haven't
it's
been doing them.
It's been a long time.
It's
Right.
been a long time.
yeah, if you want me to edit that or something, just send it to me.
Thank
I'll
you.
edit it and then I can send it
Sure.
back to you. And you're the keeper of the
Thank you.
contact list.
That'll
So,
be very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, just send it to
dig-
me.
Dig it up.
And Sharon, I'm still waiting on.
Yes, I know.
okay.
Still owe you some things. We've been out.
No, I know.
Out the last couple of weeks. So, yes, that's on the top of my to-do list.
Okay.
Next week. So
I really want to
I'll be
knock
getting more
that
stuff out.
knock-
Yeah.
Get
Get
it
it
off
done.
my desk.
Yes, I understand.
It's
I understand.
it's weighing on all of us, and I'm not
Yes.
blaming you. It's just
No.
Just-
I understand.
we need to kind of get it.
Well, you probably should blame me, but be all that as it may, I will get you that information.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop recording, Dan.
Okay.
See
Oh,
if
good.
that works.